Snake in the second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because Wall Street over there's a life I couldn't know. Would have kept me from one-eyed day.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is 1100 WSGI. I'm U-Turn LaVern, and this is, you know it, one street over. A chance to see what's going on one street over from where you live in. And I'll just tell you right now, it's raining again. Okay, I guess you can hear it on your rooftops, but yeah, we've got that rain out there again today. But and for all of those, and Dr. Danny Weeks is in the house. He is our director of schools here in Robertson County. How are you doing?
We're pushing toward the end. There's 10 more days of school, and you know, there's so many exciting things going on in the last couple of weeks of school. Those celebrations, those parties that are going on, the banquets and reward ceremonies, and all those things. So it's really my favorite time of year. And believe it or not, the first week of school is one of my favorite parts. But the ending of the year is just can't be beat. When you see the accomplishments of the year and you see the things that have happened, it is such a wonderful time. It
is fun. And I was just telling Dr. Weeks, I said, I need another week. I just have got so many things I want to finish up. And I guess I just love what I do. Everybody's like, really? Are you just like pouring it on a little thick? I'm like, no, truly. I feel like I just love it. And I've got so much I want to get done and so much I want to do and so many things I want to do next year. And I'm just like, let's go. But we've got things to do this summer. And I'm getting knee replacement this summer. So that I told the kids, I said, man, I'm going to outrun y'all. You just let me come back in the fall. And I said, I'm going to be keeping up with you better. But anyway, it's so fun. And we were talking about the rain. I wanted to say hello to you before I just kind of give a prayer to all those who are trying to dry out. We had one of our counselors, Stephanie Howard, had some water damage. Right. God bless her out there trying to dry out. And now we get more rain.
Right.
You know? So all of you guys that are having to endure that, just prayers for you, you know, that rain coming. I know God's replenishing the supply because we're going to need it this summer when it gets really dry.
Right.
But right now, man, if you're trying to dry out something and that more rain's coming, we're praying for you and just hang in there. But anyway, so that, you know, a rainy morning, y'all be safe getting to school. But as you said, there's just so much going on. I got to give a nod too to Smokey Barnes for putting up all of our valedictorians. Did you see that? And salutatorians. Thank you. That was so nice of him. And you're getting ready to get real busy. When is your first graduation?
Well, graduations start Wednesday night.
Wednesday? I thought it was Thursday. Okay.
Well, we have Phoenix Academy, our adult high school, and our virtual schools.
Right.
And so those three groups combine and have one graduation. That is Wednesday night. We have that at IA. And so that's our, you know, a lot of people don't see that as a ceremony, but it is
it's
just
one.
as much
Are you
of a ceremony
yes.
as the others, and wonderful students, great opportunities there. A lot of those people have stories to tell, and that's exciting. And when you're talking about stories, let me go back to what you said about valedictorians and salutatorians. I know they get a lot of attention, and I know, you know, they're recognized highly for the work that they do. But last Monday, I had an opportunity to meet each one of them individually. We brought them all to our office, made pictures with them, made pictures with their principals, talked to them, and you know, we asked them, what is it that has driven you to be successful? And so every one of them, it really did my heart good, because last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, you know that. But every one of them, they weren't bragging on themselves. They weren't bragging on their families. They weren't bragging on their own abilities. But every one of them pointed to a teacher or a counselor that made a difference in their lives. That was amazing to hear.
That is awesome. Yeah. And, you know, and I just, Jim beat me to the punch on Smokey Barnes, because now we've got our newscast that's going to go up tomorrow. We're starting to, we had focused on, they had the senior walk and all of that, and then we focused on the award ceremony, and they honored the four girls that we had that got the associate's degree. And so now we're switching over tomorrow, and we're going to start talking about our valedictorian salutatorians. And so we've got their names in our newscast for tomorrow, and then I want to do a little story on each one of them and kind of get, and I hate he beat me to the punch on that, because I was trying to time it out and all of those things. But there's just, like you said, there's so much here at the end of the year. But learning more about our valedictorian salutatorians, oh my goodness, just exceptional.
They are.
Just exceptional.
They really
Athlete Caitlin, Man, she's a softball player too. I got to, as a matter of fact, way to go, Lady Cats. Oh, y'all, they won last night.
Right.
Big, 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 big. I was out there in the drizzle. I had been trying to get to one of those softball games all spring, and I would have a conflict every single time. And so I had told Lizzie Douglas is in my cat time. And I told her, I said, I'm going to get there tonight. And then it started raining. And I was like, oh. But those girls, my goodness, they shut them out. And they, it's like they have that mercy rule. You get so many rules, so many runs, and you're done. And so they'll be playing. I don't know who they're playing Wednesday night, but they'll be playing again. And I think Springfield girls won.
Springfield. Yeah. And I know Heritage boys are still in.
Okay.
I believe East Robertson boys are still in.
Okay.
And I think we have one more team.
Okay, I'm just, if anybody knows it, throw it up there. It's hard to keep up with all this. God bless you. I can't imagine, because I know everybody, I'm putting you on the spot with the sports, but it's exciting. And I just mentioned Kaylin because, she's an exceptional softball player, and she's our salutatorian. Yes. She's a salutatorian. And so smart and athletic too. That's, that's impressive. But I know nothing about softball. I had to keep asking people about the rules last night because I was like, why'd they do that? Because I've never, really followed it at all. But, I was impressed with those athletes. They are exceptional. It's
funny you mentioned that because I think I have seen every one of our teams that are still in the tournaments. I think I've seen all of them play except Greenbrier. So just getting around to the county. And I'm like you, just trying to find nights that are playing. And those sports get an awful lot of recognition, softball and baseball in the spring, but we forget we have track and field teams, we have tennis teams, we just lots of things going on. And we've actually had an interest meeting. There is the TSSAA has sanctioned girls flag football.
Oh.
And that's going to be a spring sport. So we've had some interest meetings with coaches and potential coaches, athletic directors, and talking to them about that as a potential spring sport. So lots going on in the spring.
It is neat. But it's so much fun. And I was an athlete, and I can't say enough about my husband, my boys all played at some point, and it's just something about it. It's that team organization and that commitment to, just pushing yourself. It just is a great character builder. But I was so impressed with those girls last night. And again, they're playing. I don't know who they're playing Wednesday night, but they're still in it. And there's so many other teams across Robertson County that as we're getting into these last days of school, there's still a lot to do. And so let's talk about the final. This is really the final week that everything's just normal, I guess you could say, really. Because next week, as far as high school schedule goes, high school is a little different than your middle and elementary. High school, we'll have a normal day on Monday, and then on Tuesday, we'll come in, and the morning will be normal, but then the third and fourth block, we'll do our finals. That's the last we'll see those kids. And if they're done, and then on Wednesday morning, we'll have our first and second block finals, and with a permission slip from their parents, they can leave half day. And that may be, does that vary school to school, or is that pretty much a county rule?
It's pretty standard.
Pretty standard across the county, because I know that's how we do it at Greenbrier with Dr. Osborne. So they'll have the opportunity to leave on Wednesday, half day. Now the teachers will be there. And then the kids don't have to report on Thursday unless they're missing something. This is high school, guys. This is just high school. But then at Greenbrier, we will have our makeup day. If they have tests missing or something like that on Thursday, then it's just pick up your report cards on Friday. And you can, I told the kids, I said, you can do a self-addressed envelope and you give it and they'll mail it to you. But some of them, I think, kind of like to come in. I noticed last year, some of them just wanted to come in and go, summer, and just have that last moment to hug the teachers that, they're close to and say, have a great summer. And it's just that closure, I think, on that Friday. So it's a lot of fun. Everybody's excited. And it's just neat. It's just fun all the way around.
It is a really good way. And
it's awesome.
I know I even sidetracked us a little bit from talking about graduations.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, 2 on Saturday.
Okay.
And then 1 the following Monday.
Yeah, that's us. Greenbrier.
Yes.
Or we're the last
You're the last ones, yes.
Oh, but here's the thing. The students don't get until it's so interesting because I've got 1 or 2 that I'm super close to. They're trying to finish some things up. And some things they just didn't notice. It's like, I got to get that done. Yes, you do. And you know who you are. and they're going to do it. But they have to get it turned in by the time of that first graduation because it's a county-wide thing. They want to give the same opportunity to all the seniors. And so if you've got you can't say, okay, well, her graduation is not till the 20th. So I've got, no. You have to have everything done by the 15th, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so come on, y'all, get it done. Get it done. So, but it's exciting. I just love it all. So we've got, let's see, can you name them all? So we got Phoenix Academy on Wednesday. Springfield's Thursday, right?
Springfield is Thursday. East Robertson is Friday.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Saturday morning, Joe Burns.
Okay.
Saturday evening, White House Heritage.
Okay.
And then Monday's Greenbrier.
It's Greenbrier. Good job. You're going to be busy.
we are extremely busy. But again, it's just such a great time to be there and to see, and one of the things we've talked about in our new administration is reducing that variability between schools. But, we're really talking about the quality of education and narrowing the gaps between, what's taught at one school or what opportunities are there. But then this is a time that our schools have that opportunity to be unique and to be different. So, the difference in the graduation ceremonies and what's recognized and how people dress and what they do and just, the unique cultures of their own schools.
Yeah.
And so those things really shine out during a graduation because you see tradition, you see honor, and you see that pride that comes into the school system and is in those students, is even in those families, because a lot of those are generational graduates from schools, that their student, they went to school there, maybe their parents went to school there, and now their children are graduating. So lots of pride and honor coming in the graduation ceremony. So really excited to get to see and to be there for this, my first one back in the system. So it's exciting.
I'm excited. It's fun. And I know that I remember last year as we were approaching the summer, and I said, I was saying to Dr. Causey at this moment, when we were approaching graduations, I said, I don't know, having the summer off. He goes, oh, it'll be like a long weekend. He says, you're going to be so busy getting ready. And he goes, and all of a sudden you'll be back. And I was like, and he was right. Yeah. And, maybe a little extreme on that, but I thought, it does go quick because it's so funny. And I'm sure you're the same way as you're thinking about the things over the summer. I mean, we'll be back in before you know it. United Way, the Brian Pulley and all of them with United Way, they'll be in here Thursday. And they're already talking about stuff in the bus to get ready to go back. Yeah. And everybody's like, stop it. But yeah, we're already talking about stuff in the bus. I take pictures, and I'm a photographer, and I've already got kiddos that we're trying to get pictures made for their senior year, and just different things like that. I mean, it's just this quick. Quick. Here we go.
And I don't think you have a textbook coming up for adoption, but several of our teachers, those summers, when they get a new textbook and they revise the curriculum a little bit, their pacing guides, those teachers really not that everybody doesn't work, but in particular a year like that, they would really get busy and do that. So there's always something going on, and it's almost like our schools. I know when I started teaching, it is like you close the door for a while, maybe a week or maybe 2 weeks or something like that. But now with summer school going on and lots of camps, band camps, art camps, athletic camps, and all those things going on, it's we actually have to try to schedule when our summer intensive cleanings can be done with our janitorial services, because the doors are open a lot and most all the time. And so between cleaning, I think we talked last time I was here about 2 construction projects that are open at IA, and Westside's going to be doing some construction. So trying to plan some of those larger maintenance type things that you can't do while students are in school. So, summer, we want our students to go home and relax and have a good time. We want our teachers to do that. But, there are a lot of things that happen all day and all summer long, and it's not unusual to find our campus is busy.
Well, and I know that I was talking with Mr. Martin with our band at Greenbrier, and our big fundraiser is the Turning to the Pig.
Right.
And that's happening at Greenbrier this year, and that's on July 3rd. And then we got to talking about the band camp coming up, and they'll have 2 weeks of band camp. I'm like, good land, there's no break, not really. I mean, you do have one, but it is so busy. And you're talking about we don't have a textbook for some of the CTE programs, and what we do with audio and video changes so much. But now that I'm approaching 2 years under my belt, I have a clearer picture of how I need to structure and pacing. That I love that word, pacing. That is a word that is just in my, because as I'm going through my educational preparedness program, that's one thing. People see my husband and myself coming in as career teachers. They don't just throw us in the classroom. You have to go through an EPP, which helps us understand classroom management, pacing, and how to map your standards and do all those kinds of things. And it's critical. Otherwise, you don't get things covered. And I still feel just like, and I don't know. I've got so much to learn. I've just got so much to learn. I don't quite feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose at the moment, but it's getting a little better.
And you have that unique perspective from, a lot of people call that a single class. You don't necessarily, if you were a third grade teacher, you have other third grade teachers in the building, other third grade teachers that have been doing this across the county. And the county helps pace those classes and structure those around the standards. And so, again, when I was talking about reducing variability, all of our third graders, we're not teaching from the same page. We're not, not putting our own individuality into that lesson. But, every elementary grade up through middle grades is paced out so that we know where we need to be at the end of 2 weeks, at the end of 4 weeks, at the end of 6 weeks. And so, I can't imagine the struggles that you would have as an individual teacher of a subject that, there's not somebody in your building that you can go down the hall and say, how did you teach that standard?
Yeah.
Because it is a unique class.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate that. That makes me feel a little better. But I just, I too, seeing some of the kids, I've got two that are graduating out of AV3, and there's just so much that we didn't get done, and I'm thinking, okay, how can I structure this to where we knock this stuff out and what's important? And, it's just, I'm like I said, I'm anxious for next year because I've got some things I want to implement that I think are going to make things better. And I love that we're getting our rhythm for doing the news and all of those. It's just fun. And, but there's just so much more we can do. And, I just can't wait to see what's next. But so, okay. Board meeting last night. What happens at the board meeting this close to the end of school year? I imagine there's a lot of T's to cross and I's to dot into the end of the year.
And as you talk about a teacher thinking about next year and planning for next year, in our office, that really starts in January.
Oh, wow.
When we come back for Christmas, we start meeting with principals. We start talking to principals, carries into department heads, and we start talking budgets. We start talking how we can plan, how we can get ready for next year. And so last night really was a wonderful time. We talked about those exciting things that were going on. And so we started off actually at 5:30, and we had a reception for our retiring teachers and retiring personnel. There are over 30 people who have already announced since last year that they're going to retire at the end of the year. And so we congratulated, I think there were probably 20 of those were there last night. We counted just the ones that were there and received their recognitions. 400, I think it was 460 years of experience.
Wow.
And so thinking about, the people that have invested their lives in public education, I think the most experienced educator last night that retired, I think, had 40 years.
Wow.
And so when you think about going out and, for us trying to recruit, and oftentimes that's a first-year teacher, so replacing a 40-year veteran with somebody who comes in and has zero
learning curve.
Exactly. But, those individuals were there. The board had an opportunity to honor them. They received a nice plaque, a nice gift. So, that's again, just one of those things that's exciting for board members. It's exciting for the public. Some of those folks I taught with when I was here before I had the opportunity. So it was such a neat opportunity to be with them and to talk to them, hear their stories, share some cake and punch, and had a good fellowship time with them. So that was important. And certainly that's not board action, but that is something that the board does and honors those teachers. And we as a society honor them for their work. the folks that couldn't be there, I wish I had the number of years that they'd invested in schools too, so I could really know what that looks like. And even since last night, or since the recognition was put together for last night, I think we've received another 7 or 8 retirements.
Oh
And
my.
so, it's a continuous in this year. We're looking for those opportunities to fill those vacancies. So retirement reception was important. Also, another thing, and I know you'll be looking forward to this soon too, is the board grants tenure to those teachers that have met those rigorous standards. And it is a rigorous process for those that don't know that. It's one of those, they have to have certain evaluation scores. They have to put so much time in. They had to, have positive referrals from their principal. Our staff reviews that in my office, and then we make that recommendation to the board. And so that granting of tenure, I think there were 16 people last night that received their tenure. And again, that's not just because you've been there 3 or 4 years. It's because you've met those high standards. And so we named those out one by one last night, recognized them. They earned their tenure, so they'll get letters that'll actually go to them in school mail today, and they'll get that mail that says you've been granted tenure. And that's a standard that has changed throughout my career. It used to be you just you put in your time and you receive tenure, and you never lost tenure. Now, if your test scores and your performance is not good, there's that opportunity for your tenure to be removed. And so again, it was an honor to be able to recognize those teachers and to see their names for the great work that they're doing in classrooms, and to be recognized publicly to say, your scores are excellent. You are an excellent teacher. You're doing a great job. And a lot of misperceptions about tenure. Some people say, well, tenure just means I can't ever be fired. And, farthest thing from the truth. It gives you an additional level of due process, an additional level of input into decisions about employment and where you work and things like that. But, the old perceptions of what tenure used to do, those have changed. And so, somebody that's not kept up with it would say, well, tenure's a bad thing. Well, our tenure's a good thing, I think. And so to be able to see those teachers, to know them by name, and to have them earn that recognition, great time again of recognitions and celebrations. So we're thinking about that. While I'm talking about recognitions, our last recognition last night, Mr. J.R. Baker, who is our fine arts coordinator at the district. So he supervises arts, music, dance, theater, choirs, and things like that. He was elected to serve as president-elect of the Music Educators Association.
Oh, wow.
So we recognize him for that. That was something that his peers elected him to that position. And so I think the way I understand the structure of that organization, that's a 3-year, president-elect, president, and then past president. So he will be influential in promoting the fine arts throughout the state of Tennessee.
So that is a state.
It is a state position,
thing.
right?
Okay.
So coordinating that position
awesome.
throughout the state and other music educators and bringing them together while he's doing his job at our place. And so he represents Robertson County by doing that, and he promotes the fine arts throughout the state. So we're excited for him too.
Absolutely. Very good. I mean, there's just so much going on right now. I had thought when we were planning this, I thought, well, yeah, we've definitely got an hour's worth of stuff to talk about because it's going to be busy. We're talking with our director of schools, Dr. Danny Weeks. Of course, they had the board meeting last night, so he's reporting on that, but also all the things that we're doing to tie the bow and get finished with the 23-24 school year and get prepared to head into 24-25. That's honestly, I got to do a break, but that's probably been the thing that's blown my mind is how fast it's all going. Yes. Because I have got kids in my cat time that I met, the little knuckleheads. I remember my very first day with them and the little tricks they pulled on me and the things they told me that were just, they were messing with me. And I'm so close to them now. They're my kids and they're going to be graduating next year. Mm-hmm. And I just can't hardly believe it. I mean, because they were sophomores when I met them, right. And they've just become almost young adults over just this minute that I've had them in my space. And it's just it goes so fast. It goes so fast. I'm sure to the students, it's like, oh, I'm ready to get out. But to us in the position of teaching, man, it's just like this. But let me Let me go ahead and pause and do my break. Let's talk about Barry and Rebecca Richards' Exit Prime Realty. I just reached out to Barry. I said, okay, I've got an open slot on Thursday morning. Do we want to come in and talk about Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival? Possibility he may want to do that because this is Bluegrass Festival weekend, y'all. And I've had the great pleasure of being a part of this ever since it started. Only when I was at the Blaze did I missed. I actually got there every single one. I didn't get to be there for the entire one. One of the years I was down in Texas, but it is just a great time. I think this is about our 11th year. We've kind of lost track because of COVID, and we didn't have that one that year. But we're definitely beyond 10, or right at least 10 shows. But it is Friday and Saturday. Now Friday night we're going to have the Don Kelly Junior Fiddle Contest, but there's also the beginner musician contest of any instrument. We're going to have, so I mean, we're talking, fiddle, clogging, banjo, whatever, guitar, of course. But anything that's going on, you're going to have that competition for ages 14 and under, and it's followed by the big barn dance. And then they're also doing Friday night catfish fry. You're going to want to come be a part of all this. That is Friday night at 5 p.m. And then Saturday, music starts at 11. We got a great slate of shows. The one thing I want to mention to you about the festival is in the past, every band would play twice on Saturday. They're not doing that this year. So if you want to see your favorites, you got to get on out there at 11. It's a $10 ticket. It's going to get you in both nights. 12 and under, you're free. And I'm using Barry and Rebecca's time to promote this because they're one of the founding sponsors of the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. They're Cross Plainians out there. This is at Kilgore Park in Cross Plains. And they've been a part of it from the very beginning. So if you want to have a conversation with Barry and Rebecca about what they're doing in real estate, come out to the festival. You don't have to wait till then. You can call them today. But come out to the festival and talk to them, and they'll help you out whether you're buying or selling, whatever it is you need in the real estate community. Barry and Rebecca, they're Exit Prime Realty. Barry has the brokerage office here on the downtown square in Springfield. She has an agency office up in White House. And if you want to get in touch with them, they're experts. Call them 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425, and let them know, always please, that U-Turn sent you. And as we continue on, we are talking with Dr. Danny Weeks. He is our director of schools for all you newbies out there that don't know who he is, in case you're wondering. But they had their board meeting last night. We have it on the second Monday of the month.
Yes.
Unless it's like Martin Luther King Jr. Day or President's Day. Then
Exactly.
It does adjust. But, right? Isn't that right?
That is right.
Is it? Because I know the county commissioner meeting, it adjusts as well, I
Right.
think. Yeah.
And we do we publish a calendar for the year, usually in January, and so as the time changes, there's some convention activities for board members during the fall. So sometimes that date varies, but they're always on our website. They're always on our calendar. So people that are interested, they can certainly look at the website, check the calendar out. And even if they miss the meeting, we record our regular meetings, and they are out there on our YouTube, and so people can watch those.
Yeah, you can watch them and get caught up and see all the fun things and all the people who visit and the kiddos and all the things. Because a lot of times there's kids coming in doing special programs or saying the pledge. Do y'all have the pledge? The little ones will come in and do the pledge. And
Senior class presidents did pledge last
oh,
evening.
they did. Awesome.
did, yes.
Very cool. Yeah. Senior class. Oh, I just can't. I know that they're excited, but well, what else do we have that we need to cover?
Just a couple other things that happen. That there's always that business aspect, I guess, of approving bids and looking at bids. So there are food bids for the upcoming school year, trash collection bids. Everything that people forget. Sometimes it is running as a business, and so those business aspects, some employer-related things going along with insurance providers and things like that. So those things were approved last night. The board also takes into consideration when construction projects, happen on school grounds. And so last night, the White House Heritage baseball and softball boosters approached the board, and they were interested in putting up a cage, a batting cage for their students.
Oh, cool.
And so I think they have those cages, but they're going to actually enclose those and make those all weather. And so, they bring their presentation, and our staff look over that and make sure it, meets codes, make sure it's not interfering with other things that are on campus. And so that building project was approved last night. Probably the largest thing that's going to impact some of our families that happened last night is for the last several years, students in Robertson County have benefited from having a free breakfast and a free lunch every day of school. And so that happened with some COVID relief funds that came to us from the federal government. And so obviously the COVID funds have gone away, and that's leaving us. And so there are certain schools next year that will go back to having charge for breakfasts and lunches. And so that's going to be a change for families. That's going to be, where we've been able to walk in and eat for free and just put in our lunch number and have those meals provided for us. There are schools that are going back to having to pay for those. And again, so there are the eligibilities for free and reduced lunch still out there. And so the papers are out there for families that have that need to fill out the paperwork. But that's not been necessary the last couple of years. It's just been given us. And so now we're going to ask those families that do need that benefit of a free or reduced lunch, that they take those papers home, they fill out the paperwork. It's a very simple application. It's basically your name, where do you live, and a little bit about your family,
Right.
and turning that back in and getting that. So that those students receive that meal and receive that or price reduction on that meal while they're there. Or those of us that might not qualify for free and reduced lunch, we need to think about getting back into that habit of sending lunch money to school, writing the check for lunch money, going online and paying our lunch money, our lunch charges and things like that, or breakfast, or however we do that, or making other plans for that. I know there's some families that prepare their own lunches and things like that. So if those things will affect a lot of our students and a lot of our schools. And so that is back on the agenda. And so we're trying to highlight that, because, when you receive something for free for 3 years and then somebody starts asking you to pay for that.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're thankful for the government programs that have taken care of that and have paid for that in the past. But, now it's coming back to the families. And so, again, as you talked about preparation for school, just that's another habit. I remember, I don't tell you what lunch prices were when I started school, but I remember, every day,
50 cents. I don't know. It was when I
probably
was
not that much, I'm sure. Right.
Yeah.
But just, taking that and being able to get that in our kids' pockets, or, to pay for that up front on, I know we have some apps and things like that where it can be paid for, and then you just put in your number. So getting back into that routine, and that made me think about that when you were talking about stuff in the bus and getting supplies and things like that. And, I had a church call yesterday, and they said, what can we do for families? We want to do something for families in the summer, and we know there are families that may not have food and things in the summer. So, can you give me a list of names? Well, no, I can't give you a list of names of needy families, but, that's protected information. But we talked about how that church could serve their community, and how that church had opportunities to do that. And so I think they're going to send some flyers home that have a QR code on it.
Oh,
And
that's
if
cool.
you need something, scan that QR code. And then the families during the month that we're not in school for summer school, it's my understanding the church is planning on having, food packets there that kids can go
That's a
buy
great
if they've
idea.
signed up for that. Go by and pick up a food packet for the month of July. So, what a neat opportunity. And then they followed that back up. Well, they knew that we were going to be charging for lunches next year. And they said, can we pay for some students' lunches that are behind on that? And so, yes, what a great opportunity to help our community, help those families that cannot pay for that. But again, going back and those people who do have that need, fill out the application for free reduced lunch. Even if there's a question, even if you're on the borderline, fill it out, and somebody will evaluate that and determine under federal guidelines, what that is.
I'm making myself notes because I'm worse than my children, that I have attention issues. So as you're talking about the schools, do you have a list of schools that are still going to be free? Are there some that are still going to be free? Because you kind of mentioned that. So did I misunderstand you?
There are some. I don't have that list before me, but it's based on the overall free and reduced lunch percentage of the students that are in those buildings.
Okay.
And so Some of our schools that serve an over or have a lot of students that are identified as free and reduced lunch eligible students, they'll still be receiving the federal dollars that take care of theirs. But
Okay.
we have some schools. All of our schools are not.
And it's so interesting because I had this conversation with Mr. Martin the other day. We were recording some things because they've got our arts night has been moved to Thursday night because of the severe weather last week. So we have our fine arts night is happening Thursday, and so he was recording something for our news, and we had been given, I think yesterday morning, a list of fees that some of the students might have. And I noticed the fees for some of these programs that they're involved, the kids are involved in. And so he and I talked about that, and he actually mentioned it on a clip. We did something for talking about what's going to happen in summer over band, because band is so busy. If you're involved in some of these extracurriculars that you do those shows, that don't happen, in a minute. Right. You got to work that out. And so we were talking about the fees, and I said, I think that some of the students might be like, oh, it's so expensive to be in band. I said, what do you have that's available to help these students? And he kind of unpacked a few programs. And so I guess I'm saying this to say, if you're hearing this and you're thinking, well, I can't do that. There's always some help out there.
Right.
Always some help. You talk about the churches. You talk about, Mr. Martin was saying that there is a program where you can come and volunteer at either band events or some other sport, and that will give you this much credit toward your fees. I mean, he goes, you can easily work it out. And so there's always a way, but you've got to take the initiative and find out. And then I start thinking about some of our students that maybe their parents are just not engaged as much. And people say, well, why do we have so many counselors? That's why. That's why we have more, there was a day when you needed one counselor.
Right.
Now it's changed because there's so many students that they come from families. Maybe they come from a one-parent household and they're doing all they can just to keep the food on the table and the roof over their head. And so they things slip through the cracks that they don't realize, oh, we need to take care of this and we need to take care of that. And the next thing you know, they're having to pay for lunch and they forgot. So that's why we have counselors to help those kinds of families to be identified, right?
Not only counselors, but we have so many
teachers,
social workers now. We have teachers that take that interest, and I go back and talk about coaches and club sponsors and all those. Those are very involved. Our booster clubs. We have PTOs. We have band boosters and athletic boosters and all those type of things. Those are parents and community members that are just so excited and so eager to help that program. And I'm excited they have that interest in the fine arts or in athletics or whatever it happens to be, in the academics. Some of our programs would just really struggle to exist were it not for the ability to raise funds outside of school. And and nobody likes hearing that. Nobody likes fundraising and things. Those are but when you talk about how much it costs to carry a bus to a football game, and the bus and the cheerleaders and the outfits and the helmets that are to do that, or to raise funds for the backdrops and the scenery and the plays and things like that, the costuming and music for bands and things. So it's all so expensive, but yes, we try to help out as much as we possibly can, and dollars are allocated to some of those programs to help. And but it goes back to that heart of our community, the heart of the people that are working there, and the heart of doing it. So lots of opportunities, and people, they do need to let their teachers and their counselors and their social workers know that, there are needs.
Yeah, and it's saying, I want to do this, but my family can't afford it. I love something that we had Michelle Galusi in here last week. And I don't know if this was a Robertson County school she was talking about. Maybe you can tell me, but she mentioned something, and I mentioned it to our counselors. I said, I just love this idea. Said that there was a story she saw where somebody had taken and they put the names of all the students on the wall in the teacher's lounge or somewhere. And they had these little dots and said, if you have a relationship, any student that you have a relationship with, put a dot by their name. So that way they could see the ones that were just not engaging. And to me, that was just brilliant. I just thought that is such a wonderful idea, because we all have those students, because we have every teacher will have students in their class and they'll say, okay, I've got this student that's not really engaging. I wonder if they're engaging in another class. I actually had a student that a teacher reached out to me and said, "Is so and so, how are they doing in your class? Because in my class they just seem disconnected and uninterested." And I was like, "Well, hey, we're doing great. We have a good, you know." But I appreciated that teacher reaching out and saying, "Is this across the board?" And that would be a way to identify it and to help identify these kids that are not reaching out and saying, "I would love to be in band, but there's no way I can afford it, so I'm not even checking." You know, and so right now is the times we can identify those things before we get into fall and it's too late and they've missed band camp or those kinds of things. So I don't know. There's just lots to do, y'all. Lots to do. I'm talking with Dr. Danny Weeks. He is our director of schools, and I've got one more break I've got to do, but we've got time. What else do we need to cover? I've got some notes here that I want to cover too, but just some things you've said, and I thought, okay, let me ask you about this. But what else do you have from the board meeting last night?
That's really the essence of the board meeting.
Okay.
But the next thing is we talk about families and family needs and things like that. And in the end of the school year, the legislature made some minor changes to, they're calling it the third grade promotion law. I'm calling it the third grade retention law. But what is expected of students to move from third and fourth grades as they move through elementary schools related to their TCAP testing. And so, parents that have third and fourth graders in particular, but certainly those that have students that are younger than that, Ks, 1s and 2s, you know, it's important that they are on top of that reading and making sure reading is emphasized at home, making sure that we're reading to our kids at night, we're reading to their kids, as we're going down the road, we're bringing attention to words and places we see and helping them be attentive. And I'm not saying we don't play with our phones and things like that, but you know that we're intentional about the games and the things that they're playing when they play with their iPads and phones and things like that. Those laws still have a lot of restrictions on what the school system can do as students are ready to be promoted from third to fourth grade and fourth to fifth grade. And so particularly if families have a third grader that reading might be an issue, they need to really talk to their teachers and their principals the next week or so, and talk to them about summer school, talk to them about tutoring programs we have available, and you know, ensure that promotion retention law is not going to catch them somewhere by surprise.
You know, and that's on my notes, as you mentioned, summer school, because it's different this year. I know that because that's one thing my husband and I both had said, "Hey man, we'll help with summer school." We'll end up that not being, it was very limited on what they needed. And the reason why is because summer school had been more available because of COVID. And again, we're kind of coming to the end of that cycle. It was so funny. Dr. Osborne the other day in the announcement, she was talking about, you know, coming off of the storms we had on Wednesday and Thursday, and she was we had the delayed start, and so I got to hear the announcements. I never get to hear the announcements because that's my planning block, and I'm finishing radio and all of that. But so I got to hear the announcement, and it was the last day for the seniors. She goes, "Well, y'all came in during the pandemic, and you're going out in a natural disaster." I thought that was so funny. But you're looking at the seniors that were incoming freshmen the year of the pandemic. And so that's, you know, we're that many years beyond it. I think it's, to a lot of it seems like yesterday, but we're that far beyond it. So it's time to start putting a period on some of those programs that were spawned because of that. And one of them was a more I don't know what the word is, just a larger opportunity for summer school. For us at Greenbrier now, it's by invitation.
It is.
And there's only one teacher and some administrators. And so it's much more limited than what it was. I know I dropped in summer school last year, and man, there's people everywhere, you know, and it won't be that way this time. And so I've talked to some of my students that are like, "Well, I'm going to come to summer school." And, you know, I said, have you had a phone call? Because you're supposed to be, and by this time you would be invited. And so it's structured so much differently. Can you kind of unpack that for everybody and what to expect with that?
Well, I think, you know, the expanded program during COVID was, you know, basically any class you want to take, there's going to be somebody there to help you. A lot of it was on computer, but, you know, you have a content specialist there to help you. You know, if you don't understand science, there's a science teacher there. If you have a difficulty in math, there's 2 or 3 math teachers there. And so now a lot of the summer school programming, rather than helping you get ahead and helping you do some of those things, it's more remedial. And so if you struggle with, you know, the second part of English, you can come to summer school and you'll be invited to summer school. Put it that way. You'll be invited to summer school to come make up that portion that you missed. And so, instead of multiple labs, we may have one or two labs at a school. And so, a couple of teachers monitoring those labs, providing assistance as needed, but it's not going to be, just the full wide open, come take whatever class you want, come take whatever you'd like to do. And most of that, again, is related to COVID funding. We received several dollars to be able to offer those expanded programs during the summer. And that emphasis by our state legislature has really changed and gone back to the third and fourth grade retentions and that idea of making sure that students are confident and competent readers as they are in third grade, and being able to pass the TCAP test. And so a lot of our resources have had to be funneled down to that to meet the requirements of the law. And so, some resources diverted from high schools back to elementary middles.
Well, and the reality of it is you had some high school students go, I'll just go to summer school. And that's no, you may not get the opportunity to.
Right.
You've got to do your best effort all year long because we don't know what's going to be available. And it comes back to that where you're saying that they get accustomed to something.
Sure.
But it's like, you got to remember that was a temporary adjustment because of the situation. So now let's get back to normal. Let's try to get back to as much normalcy that, and something that's, that works more maybe reasonably, because everything with COVID was just, there was a lot of, you think, why are we doing this? Well, we're trying to see if we can't put this back, get how we can get things back together. So to change the topic to, is there still pre-K registration? I know we had those. Do we still have one of those?
We can always still.
I was thinking, don't we have the meeting? Don't we have still one of those coming up on the 15th, maybe?
It's either 14th or 15th.
Yeah.
Yes,
so this is the week that you need to make sure, because there were special meetings and assistants and things like that at the central office. And I know we talked about it last month, but I think there's one on.
Lou was doing that. And
I can't remember, but I'm putting him on the spot. I'll tell you what, while you check, let me go ahead and do it. And those, like I said, I had a little list of things here I wanted to mention as you were talking. I should have given these to you yesterday, but they didn't occur to me until just now. But as he's looking that up, let's talk about one of our sponsors. Let's talk about Veterans Motorplex, guys. Here's the deal. It's racing season here in Robertson County. And if you have not been to Veterans Motorplex, this is the old Highland Rim Speedway you'll be quite familiar with. And they changed the name. You'll know you're at the right place. Follow them at Highland Rim Speedway. They kept their social media presence because they had a lot of followers and they didn't want to have to completely start over with social media. And we all know how hard it is to build that. But you'll see the banner. It says Veterans Motorplex. And that is the place to go and check out everything they got going on for the racing happening every Saturday, weather permitting. The weather can shut us down anytime, but they've got racing at 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. It is an awesome time. I had no idea how much fun it was until I started going to the races again last year. I'm looking forward to hitting it several times this summer. Going to take my grandson. I'm hoping they'll bring the big rigs out. We went to that big rig race last year. Oh my goodness, that was so much fun. It was so strange, but it was so fun. And it's right here. It's right here in Robertson County, up in Greenbrier. It is a fast, quarter-mile, high-banked asphalt bull ring, fun for the whole family, family-friendly, no alcohol allowed, served, sold. You don't have to worry about that. They got a great concession stand. Some of the local kids work there. Some of them get their first summer job at Veterans Motorplex. It's a great place. We want to invite you to come out to the races on Saturday. A $40 ticket will get up to 8 people in. That's up to 6 kids and 2 adults for a $40 ticket price. You can't beat that. Family fun, very affordable, good times for all at the old Highland Rim Speedway. It's racing time in Middle Tennessee right here in Robertson County through October. And it's Veterans Motorplex. When you see Jerry, thank him for being one of our sponsors, and always please let him know that U-Turn sent you. Dr. Danny Weeks, did you find out anything about the thing for the pre-K?
We have pretty good memories. May 14th from 4:30 to 6:30.
Yeah.
It is at Bransford Elementary.
It's today.
And so that is today. And so staff will be at Bransford to help people get their students registered for pre-K. If they have language barriers, we're going to have translators there to help them. And again, just to come out and help them sign up for those programs anywhere. I think they will have one late late in the month of July for any available spots that might still be open because
Right.
it's the pre-K program is spread throughout the county, and a lot of it's focused at Bransford, but we do have some classes in other places. But helping fill in some of those gaps. So this afternoon at 4:30.
Very good. I'm glad we remembered. And it was so funny because one of my bilingual students, we had her do an ad in Spanish that we played over on WDBL.
Nice.
And so that was really a cool thing. She's one of our seniors, and so that was fun that we were able to do that. But that's one of the reasons why it was top of mind, because I knew that was an issue. So I think that that's all the stuff that I had on my list to cover. Anything else that you're thinking that maybe we missed from the meeting last night? Anything coming up?
Nothing from the meeting, but again,
Okay.
just some of those things. And again, I just want to remind everybody, the graduation is an exciting time, and the end of the year is an exciting time. But you mentioned students finishing up, so if anybody's behind in work, we don't want to be put in that situation. Our board policy says that you have to be in good standing. So I know back when I was in high school, I think you could still be 3 or 4 credits shy and
Yeah.
still participate in graduation ceremonies. That doesn't happen anymore. So the students have to be completed with their work. They have to be in good standing, discipline wise and attendance wise, with their principals. So those calls are made at the school level. So we saw a couple of weeks ago in the news there was some seniors that had made some poor decisions the last week of school. So we want to see students making great decisions. We want to see students making things that are going to promote and be positive for their self, their family, and our community. And so that's important to all of us, so that nothing like that happens here.
Yeah.
So it's sad that it does, but occasionally. But again, just our offices are open. We're there from 8 to 4 at our offices. So if somebody's running into some questions about how do I sign up for pre-K, how do I get in summer school, how do I work out these issues, maybe some students are behind a little bit and they need that additional help to get through that place. We want to do all we can to help them to be successful.
I love it. And again, if you've got some seniors that are finishing some stuff up, do they have until close of business tomorrow, or what? How does that work? Or is it?
I'm not a micromanager. So I really let
It
principals.
says the principals handle that. Okay.
Principals will take care of that, and so again, they're gracious and merciful people.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Because I know a few of the situations that I'm keeping my eye on, because I care about the student, and
Right.
then they know they messed up, and they're getting it done. And I had one of the students say to me, and I said, "Well, okay, what's the situation?" They said, "It's doable." I said, "Well, then that means do it."
Right.
And they're like, "Okay."
So maybe missing the ball game.
Yeah.
Or missing,
Exactly.
television programs
Just
or,
do it. Just get it done. But so let's recap. Let's recap the graduations. We're starting with the Phoenix Academy on Wednesday night, and that's at IA, which is the beautiful auditorium. Is that going to be in the auditorium, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Yeah, because a lot of them are on football fields.
They are.
I know
and-
ours is on football fields. It's not
and-
going to rain.
Well, speaking of that, so
Yeah.
we're going to talk with principals to make sure they have that contingency plan.
Get a little
and-
closer on that mic,
Yeah,
if
I'm
you
sorry,
would, for
yeah.
me. Yeah.
We want to make sure they have those contingency plans for, what do we do
If it
it's
does rain.
pouring down rain during the middle of that? And so they'll be communicating those messages to make sure they're out there, making sure the families know what to plan for.
Right.
And if it's a terrible rain, what are we going to do? Are we going to push it to the next day, or how is that going to work? So
I'm looking at the
messages will be coming out.
forecast. I'm looking at the forecast right now. Dr. Osborne wouldn't even say the R word.
Right.
Don't even. She don't want to hear it. It's looking good, Dr. Osborne. I'm kind of taking a glance. Oh yeah, it's looking really nice next Monday. But there's a little bit of
Rest of the
rain
week's
there.
questionable, right?
Yeah, there's a few that were like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. But as I'm kind of taking a glance at it, I think the weather's looking pretty nice. So if you want to have yours outside, probably going to happen. But so you've got Phoenix Academy's Wednesday night, and then
Springfield Thursday.
is on Thursday night.
Right.
Then who was Friday?
Friday night is East Robertson.
Okay, and then
Saturday
two on Saturday,
morning, Joe Burns High morning.
Okay.
And White House Heritage the evening.
and then the
The
Bobcats
Bobcats on Monday.
on Monday, and then
go.
we'll have it all done, and then we'll have an official run of new seniors all ready to go. But as far as now, we talked a little bit about the high school schedule, and I can just really quickly remind you of that. This is a normal week. Monday will be normal classes. This is high school. Tuesday, because we're on block schedule, and I'm finding more and more how much I love block schedule because I'm in an EPP program out in Murfreesboro, and they're not yet. And I'm listening to those teachers, and I'm like, and I think they're transitioning to block next year. It sounds like out in that county. But I'm just saying, I think, are we going to stay on block? I'm going to jump off on
We don't have any plans to change at this point.
because I kind of like it.
Yeah.
But so we've got a regular day Monday, Tuesday. We'll have the morning will be normal, but then afternoon after lunch, the third and fourth blocks will have their finals. Then we say, have a great summer. And then Wednesday morning, we'll have first and second block finals. And then they can leave half day with a parent's written permission. That's how it is at Greenbrier. Thursday's makeups. If you have anything you missed, some people get sick. You can, get the flu in the middle of all this stuff. And so Thursday's makeup day. Friday, you just come get your report card. Half day, we're done. That's high school. How does it work for the elementary? Because they go next week, correct?
They go next week.
Okay.
And, a lot of field days, a lot of the end of year parties and things like that. But, it's still an important time. So, we've had some people that say, well, school's out after TCAP. And that's not the truth. There's so much that still goes on. We had someone say at the board meeting last night that, their teachers had started preparing their students for the next grade. I think this was a sixth grade parent that said something that, that we're talking about some of those things that you'll see the first week of seventh grade next year. And so helping them, make that transition and know what to expect. And, every year is a change and a transition. And, particularly those eighth graders that are moving into high school and, learning about, you actually earn a credit instead of, passing a class or not passing a class, but earning those credits and working those credits toward graduation. So normal activities next week. Again, each school, has special award ceremonies. They'll have some programs. I've been invited to numerous, art shows and, choir concerts, band programs and things like that, award ceremonies. So lots going on. So check your kids' backpacks, check your school's websites, and make sure you know where those things are and, where to be and to be looking for those. And then, again, just, checking grades at the end of the year, making sure that our kids are where they need to be.
Yeah. And that's even the high school kids, guys. I talked to some of mine that are on the edge of being adults and I'm like, well, do you have this done? Oh, I don't know. And you guys, it's time because if you want to be, that's because I've got rising seniors, they're juniors. And I told them yesterday in CAD time, I said, this time next year, will you be ready to walk with your class?
Right.
That's the reality. Because that's the drama, a couple of months ago, I don't know if I'm going to be able to walk. Well, now's the time that you need to be thinking about that and doing the work that you've got to do to make that happen. You want to be able to walk with your class. Don't ignore this stuff. You cannot. And you've just got to, that's as a homeroom teacher, that's our job to make sure to stay on these kids because not all of them have the support at home.
Right.
You're talking about digging through their backpacks. How many things get lost in backpacks? They're just like, I'll tell you funny because we've just got just a minute here and we're going out. I have one of my children. Oh, such a knucklehead. He's such an awesome man now. I mean, just phenomenal. Served his country. He knows who he is. But that young man, he would come home at the end of the summer and destroy his backpack before I had a chance to go through it. He set it on fire one year. Okay. He set it on fire one year. I'm like, dude. And it had his Bible in it too. Because when we went to Christian school and so I'm like, I've kept that, but I'm just like, don't let your kids destroy their backpacks. Go through it. There's important stuff in there. And, I had a knucklehead. Yeah, I did. And, the military got him back on track. That's a good thing. Anything as we're finishing up? We've got just a moment. Anything? Just
again, if people have questions, we welcome calls and we welcome emails at our office. But I'm always going to point people back to the best source of that conversation is going to be. If we have an issue with, what does my child need to do to graduate? We need to talk to that teacher in that classroom, or we're having an issue in something, we need to talk to that principal of that building. We can certainly help facilitate that at our office, and we want to do that. But, that communication that we have one-on-one with that teacher to know, what is my child doing? What does he need to do to turn in to get finished up? What do we need to be able to do to become a sophomore for a freshman year and things like that. So, again, we want to help facilitate that, but communication with your staff. It's great.
All right. Sounds good. Dr. Danny Weeks, Director of Schools, his office, I guarantee you, always open, ready to help you out. Just reach out to the central office and they can answer your questions. And thank you guys for joining us. Thank you again. And I'm hoping you'll come through the summer too, even though, y'all have still board meetings and all of those things. Maybe it won't be quite as busy, but we'll be checking in. And thank you guys for joining us. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a great day.